Okay, I haven't done one of these in a while. I think Final Shape Launch was the last time I did one of these, so let's just get the elephant out of the room immediately. Does most of the general public need to prep for episode Heresy? No, absolutely not. You don't have to do that by any means. You can go at whatever pace you'd like. Maybe you want to just enjoy the content nice and slow. That's totally fine. But this video is for that small portion of people that could have an advantage of prepping going into Heresy for a couple of different reasons. For example, there's a portion of the player base that likes to be prepared going into new content, particularly when there's day one races. In this example, I'm referring to the Sunder Doctrine dungeon that will be launching 3 days after Heresy launches, and people want to just be as prepared as possible going to that, trying to get that day one emblem and also guaranteeing them the dungeon exotic in the process. There are also people out there that just simply enjoy build crafting, and the best way to enjoy build crafting in the game right now is to have all the artifact mods unlocked as fast as possible so you can maximize your builds. And the best way to do that is to prep XP ahead of time. And then there's even a small population that likes to just have all their cosmetics unlocked as fast as possible in a given season, so the Battle Pass cosmetics, and maybe even just blow through every triumph that season has, because there's triumph collectors out there as well, which would include leveling up as fast as you can to get into the expert version of seasonal activities or exotic missions to get everything from there and be done with all your collectibles. So if you're in the camp of any of the three things that I mentioned, in particular the big ones being the dungeon and the build crafting, then this video is specifically for you. So with the disclaimer mumbo jumbo out of the way, let's get straight into it. The number one thing that most people are going to want to prep is going to be bounties and XP. Bounties help you store and save XP going into a new season, which then turns into artifact rank, which gives you more and more artifact mods to unlock very quickly straight into the season. Artifact rank will also increase your overall power level, and while that's not directly tied to the dungeon, given that contest will be locked at like 1995 power, I believe, it could matter in other ways in the game. For example, if you want to go and try to farm shinies for the new seasonal activity, you're probably going to need to be somewhere in the 2010 range, I imagine, especially if they're going to have a legend and or master difficulty for higher chances, so it could help you there as well. It could also help you with Vault of Glass, because in episode Heresy, they are reissuing all the VOG weapons and giving them a new craftable version, as well as obviously having adept versions. And if you want to farm for adepts, that means master mode, and if you're doing master, that means you're going to need to up your light level, because it'll probably be around 20-40 power or so. Anyway, back to the bounties. So the first thing to know is, what are the best bounties in the game? So there's 3 tiers. There's weekly bounties, which are the best XP in the game. Then there's daily bounties, the middle tier, and then lastly, repeatable bounties. They range from 12k XP for weekly, 6k to daily, and then 3k for repeatables. This also fluctuates depending on your season rank and you having shared wisdom and things like that, so just keep that in mind. Speaking of which, I should probably just talk about that now while we're at it. So there's 2 things to keep in mind when you're handing in bounties in the game in general, especially on season launches. The first one is going to be blinding light on your ghost. You want to make sure that you always have the tier 6 version of this to increase XP gains by 12%. Now the other thing is going to be shared wisdom. It's a buff that can pop up on your character screen. I'll just put up a picture here of what it looks like, but essentially you can see it in your battle pass as well. Here you see XP bonuses, and it provides various XP gains, so you can see these on your pass. The very first one is going to be on rank 5, or typically at least it is on every pass, and it just says increased fire team members XP gains by 2%. The further you are in a battle pass, the more XP percentages you get, so it depends on who you're in a fire team with. So for example, if you join somebody who is at tier 100, then they already have the max bonus that you can, for lack of a better term, leech off of. One more small note about shared wisdom: make sure it's actually on your character screen before you start popping bounties. The reason I say this is because in some places in the game, you won't get this. For example, if you're in orbit with somebody, you're technically in a fire team, yes, but in orbit it does not work. You will not get shared wisdom. If you go to the tower with random people, it also will not show shared wisdom. But if you travel to the tower with a fire team member, or you join a buddy of yours that's already at the tower, then it should show you the buff, and then you can start popping your bounties. Now, as for weekly bounties, which ones can you or should you save? So I'm going to go through all the ones that you could save, and then give you recommendations on what's worth going for and what's just absolutely not worth your time at all. Let's start with weeklies in the tower. First, we have Hawthorne with clan bounties. Now, if you're not in a clan, of course, feel free to ignore this. if you are in a clan, let's go over some of these and tell you which ones are terrible and which ones you can do pretty easily. The first slot is the Gambit Rotator. This one is pretty much, if you like playing Gambit, you can do this one. If you hate playing Gambit, then just avoid it. Moving on, the second slot is Crucible. Now, normally, I'd say stay far, far away, and I'd rather jump off a cliff than do these in-game, of course. But there is a cheat code for all three of these in this slot. Here's what you do. You grab one buddy with you that's in your clan and then head to private matches. And what you're going to want to do is, for game types, you're going to want to load Zone Control. For the map, pick Cauldron. For the score limit, you're going to pick 25. And then you're going to scroll all the way to the bottom. And for mode modifiers, you're going to pick Momentum. What this is going to do is it's going to make the game as fast as humanly possible. It'll take you maybe a minute to complete a match. So here we are actually in a game. I booted up what I just mentioned in the settings, and all I'm going to do is just go to each one of these flags. Now, obviously, it'll be faster if you're in here with a buddy, but all three bounties can be completed right here. The wins, the play matches, and even the kills. All you have to do is just have somebody switch teams, and you just kill them, and the kills will count in this match. And then simply complete the match via the flag capping, and you're done. So once I cap this flag, it'll be maybe like another 30 seconds to get to the score of 25. The match will complete. Bang, your bounty has progressed. And there you have it. The match completes. It'll give you some glimmer. Sometimes it'll even give you a legendary weapon, but there you go. Moving on. The next three are pretty straightforward. It's complete any raid with a clanmate. This includes just grabbing a checkpoint for any final boss, beating that boss, and then the bounty completes. Next one is Nightfalls. Same thing. Get a clanmate. Go do a GM. If you can't do a GM, do Master or Legend. Complete it. Then the bounty's done. Moving on. And then lastly, complete dungeon encounters. Now, you can either do any encounter in a dungeon, whichever you prefer, or is the fastest, or you can just go bash Duel Inkaru in the skull with 3 ward clips real quick and be done. But pretty straightforward on these. The last slot, though, it can be one of two things. It's either get kills in a seasonal activity or complete seasonal activities with a clanmate. If it's complete seasonal activities with a clanmate, you light this bounty on fire and just run the opposite direction. This thing takes you 10 completions to complete this bounty. Imagine having to run 30 Tomb of Elders to complete this bounty. Yikes. Avoid at all costs. The other one, which is get kills in a seasonal activity, that one can be done in about 3 runs of whatever activity you want to do. That one's not as bad. The other vendor in the tower you can use is Banshee. So, normally Banshee has a powerful, I already completed mine this week, but you would get 8 bounties, which will complete as powerful, and then he would give you an item, right? The thing that a lot of people don't know is the powerful that he gives you, it also comes with XP. So what you can do is you save 7 bounties from Banshee. You could do dailies and repeatables or just dailies, up to you. And then when it comes to day 1 of the season, you hand them in. He will give you that powerful, and when you pick it up, it'll give you a weekly XP bonus, 12k, as well, just like any other weekly bounty. Next up is the Cosmodrome with this Fortnite-looking jabroni. So Shahan will have 2 weekly bounties for you to complete. They're very easy. In fact, the Cosmodrome is probably the easiest planet in the entire game to complete bounties on, both for the weeklies and for the dailies, so you can get some freebies while you're here. And then we're going to move on to the next planet. The next stop is the second easiest place to do bounties, which is the Moon. So on the Moon, we have 4 weekly bounties, 2 here at the Lectern, which unfortunately would require you to go to Nightmare Hunts, but you can do that pretty easily by just loading in a Nightmare Hunt, doesn't matter where, and then heading to Sorrow's Harbor and doing the Altars of Sorrow there with tons of nightmares spawning in. Now, for Eris, there's 2 more weekly bounties here, and there's a small misconception with these. People think that these don't give XP because it doesn't actually show it on the rewards, but trust me, it does. It gives you the same amount as any other weekly bounty. And then for the dailies, I would avoid the Lectern dailies because they're just a pain in the ass to do in Nightmare Hunts, but Eris's dailies are extremely easy and simple, and you can just pick them all up and go do any of these gigantic lost sectors with tons of enemies and get it done all in one run. Plus, one of Eris's bounties is literally going into 3 lost sectors, so there you go. Next is Failsafe on Nessus, not to be confused with Failsafe at the helm that probably wants to stalk you these days. While there are no weekly bounties here, you can get 4 dailies that are pretty simple and easy. Next up, Xur's Jabroni Island! So Xur has daily bounties for you to do. They're all really easy, and you can get these done in one single run of Dares of Eternity. And speaking of dares, we also have the Star Horse, which can give you a weekly bounty to do. I don't know why we can only hold one of these still, but it is what it is. You could pick any of these, doesn't matter which one you pick, they all give the same XP. Small tip though, this one requires you to do Legend Dares, and these other 2 can actually be done in normal dares, assuming you get 180,000 points. The last easy mode set of bounties you can pick up is going to be in the EDZ with Devrim. These are only daily bounties, but again, they're just very, very easy, so pick them up and go do them in a couple seconds. There's 2 more locations to go pick up some weeklies. First is Varix on Europa. Now, I'm pretty sure you do need Beyond Light to pick up these weeklies, so if you have Beyond Light, I would get these 2. The first one is just do 3 lost sectors and then you're done. And the second one is a rotator bounty between the 3 Empire hunts. And it asks you to get precision kills and then kill the boss of whatever week that you have. Now, killing the boss, obviously, you have to do the Empire hunt. But for the precision kills, you can actually get it outside of the activity. The reason why I mentioned that is because the activity itself is like 2005 power. And there's champions. And they could be swords for you, which would make your life getting precision kills a little annoying. What you can do is pick up the corresponding quest here for whichever one you're doing, right? And once you do that, and it's in your inventory, so let me just pick it up just to show you, you can actually just go and get precision kills while this is active, and it'll count towards your weekly bounty without you ever having to actually enter the Empire hunt. Second to last on the weekly train is going to be our favorite one-eyed homegirl, Petrovenge. She has 2 weeklies for us to do, and some pretty easy dailies as well. For the 2 weeklies, one is going to be doing the Ascendant Challenge. Unfortunately, it rotates. There's 6 of them, so I can't tell you exactly where to go instantly. It depends on which week you're picking it up. But I have a guide for all 6 of them in case you need one. And the other one is going to be, unfortunately, doing 2 Tier 4 Blind Wills that might take away your will to live. You might want to skip this one. And the worst for last, the King of Jabronis, Nimbus. So this weekly, I would say is definitely on the more annoying side and something you probably will skip just because of how convoluted it is. So first, you have to find the Vex Incursion Zone, wherever that is, go into that zone, put on Strand, whether it's abilities or weapons, and then just kill stuff with Strand and hope that you get 8 shell coats to drop. And then, after doing that, you complete a terminal overload and then use a key to open the extra chest. It's, like, it's not super difficult or anything, it's just a bit tedious. So, this would be one of the skips if I had to pick one to skip. All in all, if you went full send with the bounties, it should look something like this in your quest menu. And by the way, this is something some people also don't know. The bounties and the actual quests in this menu are shared. So you have 63 total slots, but they are merged between those 2 sections. So if you're wondering why you can't hold as many bounties as you see me holding, it's because you probably have a bunch of quests on this side of the screen that you need to either complete or abandon to free up space for more bounties. Now, one last thing in terms of XP gains, this is actually for when Heresy launches. Pay attention to your ritual Pathfinders. Not only does it give you some pennies, it gives you 150 Bright Dust for the first 10 of the week, so that's 1500 Bright Dust, but also it's super easy passive XP. Once all your bounties are out of the way, I'd recommend just looking at your Pathfinder, going into the Vanguard playlist, and going to town on getting multiple done at once. For example, if this is the brand new Pathfinder for Heresy and I see kinetic weapon kills, pulse rifle kills, and precision kills. Logically in my head, I'm going to think, okay, I'm going to put on a kinetic pulse rifle like Messenger, and I'm going to get precision kills. Then I will get a 3-for-1 done in my Pathfinder, and I will get this whole thing done that much quicker. And most of these are just super easy in general. You have SMG kills, powerful combatants, some melee kills, some heavy GL kills, put on a bittersweet or whatever. Simple. It's just really easy XP. And to close out the video, here is a absolutely do not, and that is save exotic engrams, because Bungie confirmed there is no new exotic armor coming in Episode Heresy, which means you don't gotta save exotics for Rahul to unlock the new ones. There are no new ones, so don't bother saving exotics like I did ahead of time. And that's how I would go about prepping for Heresy. Like I mentioned at the beginning of the video, this is not for everyone. This is not for most people. In fact, a lot of people don't have to do any of this. This is just for Day 1 dungeon preppers, the cosmetic people, the artifact build crafting people, and that's pretty much it. If you enjoyed the video or it helped you, please consider subscribing today. It does help the channel grow and is much appreciated. And if you want to go the extra mile, you can leave a like and or a comment below as well. If you don't know what to leave as a comment, you can leave bounty prep as the comment. Thanks for watching. Catch you next time.